This is day one of my high frequency handstand project. And I'm doing it because I am way shitter at handstands than I have any right to be. I've been trying to do handstands for like 3 years. And in that time, I've learned a lot about the movement. But there's one, it's just the bane of my existence. I'm so not like the opposite of talented at this stuff. And I also realized that I have made a huge mistake in trying to find smart shortcuts. I've done this a lot of my training. Trying to find smart shortcuts to almost get around the process and, but what if I just do this, 20% really well that gives me the 80% of the process. My experience so far in this last 3 years is that fucking handstands are just not like that. And I have to look honestly at the fact that I've been doing this for roughly 3 years and currently my level is at an inconsistent 22nd. And that's pretty shit. So I've decided recently that handstands is something I enjoy more than I thought. In the beginning, I was like, I don't really enjoy this that much, blah, blah, blah. I was like, just trying to see how little I could get away with doing and still progress. And some of those experiments worked, to some degree. But I've never committed to it enough. And that's why I just have nothing to show for it. So I'm running an experiment, a high frequency experiment, a kind of greasing the groove style experiment. I'll talk about this more as I go. But I basically just want to see how good I can get by doing handstands all the fucking time. So my goal is going to be 3 sessions a day, roughly 20 minutes each. So super short sessions. 2 on a strength training or an upper body strength training day. So trying to average around 3, but if I'm going to train upper body that day, I might just jump straight into that session just if I've got a little bit pressed for time. So it's going to be a lot. I'm going to try my best to document the process as well and just like kind of share what I'm learning, share my struggles. If you struggle with handstands as well, like fucking 3 years and 20 seconds, that's not great. So I'm right there with you. And it's also because eventually when I did start to get a little bit more progress, I was kind of doing roughly 45 seconds. I never did more than 45 seconds. And I was always like, oh yeah, I don't really want to test. Again, this is bullshit. It was just, I think there was honestly a part of myself that had a bit of a fragile ego around it because I had to start teaching at this gym where they did handstands before I ever did a handstand. So I think I was always a little bit afraid to do them and then be shit at them because I felt like I had some kind of reputation to uphold, and that's a very immature strategy as a coach. And I have since realized that it doesn't make me feel great, but it's also true. And so that's why I'm doing this training. 1, because I enjoy it, and 2, because I think it's important to, I feel like I really want to see what I'm actually capable of when I really commit to this. I've often had this narrative about like, I'm just fucking really shit at handstands, and I am. And I've never really committed to it. And I think I tend to struggle with learning things early on. I think that's why it makes me better at explaining them and coaching them as I go. But there's also a certain amount of embodied knowledge that you have to have if you want to be the best coach as well. And I think that's, I would love to continue helping people with handstands more, but I've realized a lot of the mindsets and stuff I've picked up around it has just been not grounded in experience enough. So yeah, I'm going to do this high frequency experiment. 6 days a week, and I'm going to do this for a few weeks and see how it goes. It's just an experiment. I might stop after that. I might keep going if it's working really well and if it feels like it's not too domineering over my lifestyle. I'm trying to make this fit in with my lifestyle as much as possible, but we're going to see. And I'm going to document my process as well, just so you guys can see, is this a terrible idea? Is this a great idea? Is it going to work really well? I actually have no idea. So a big part of what I like doing in training is, 1, yes, training and learning from other people, but also researching as well. And this is a research experiment of mine that I kind of want to document publicly because it's also kind of fun. It's fun to do these research things and to experiment on what works for me and what doesn't work for me. this is also a bit of accountability for me as well. So let's train. So I guess my biggest question in the beginning is, if I'm only going to be spending roughly 15-20 minutes working on handstands, what's like the highest leverage thing to work on? I'm using the handstand toolkit from Matthew Smith, and there's a bunch of different stuff in there, but breaking it down into smaller sessions and understanding I still want to get high quality work done without getting too fatigued, what is the best to focus on? So this morning I'm going to be doing some shape change stuff. I think I'm getting a little bit too obsessed with my line recently. My whole time just gone to shit. So I think I'm just going to try and stay up until I can get to a minute. And then after that, I can start working more on my line. Felt pretty good. So I've done a lot of work on my line. And that's the thing I was mainly focusing on before this, kind of on and off. Wasn't really doing much handstands, as I was saying. But you can kind of see like my ability to make the straight line shape is pretty good, like, you know, all things compared to my actual hold times. But I think the biggest mistake I made was that we're just focusing way too much on this. Way too much on this straight line thing and just fucking can't balance. So, you know, I'm going to continue to work this, but it's not going to be the priority. I've got to just learn to balance and just spend more time on my hands, spend more time upside down. 2, start to catch things like this. You know, I think my left leg is straight right now. Actually, it's fucking completely bending. My control over that left leg is way shitter. So yeah, there's a lot to work on here, but I'm happy with this first section of the books.